was trying to have Gemini solve this problem for me for like 2 hours, and I was going back and forth with it, back and forth with it, back and forth with it. I ran out of tokens even. And then I was like, all right, let me just like pass this over to Claude Code. Maybe it'll make a tiny bit of progress. And I gave it to it, and within 30 seconds, it had one-shot my entire problem.
The performance has gone through the roof. We've genuinely hit an inflection point with this stuff. The things that are going to do well are actually really obvious. The difference is those with the will to act on it. Today, we're going to cover a few juicy topics. Some of them are going to be controversial. If you've got feathers, they may be ruffled. I just want to put that PSA out there right now. But for those of you, and then obviously we're going to do a Q&A with the comments at the end as well. Yeah. We have to talk about Claude Code because I don't know about you. I have absolutely had, I describe it as a feeling when I'm building out Gravity Claw, Open Claw alternative, when I've been building applications, that I don't know what happened at Claude HQ recently. Someone flipped a switch, someone connected two things together. The performance has gone through the roof. Its design capabilities, its ability to just understand and get it, I'm finding it needs less iterations. It is genuinely able to build what I'm describing with an alarmingly low series of revisions, to the point where I was like, I actually stayed up past 1 a.m. the other day because I think I couldn't stop. I was like, I felt like I was at Christmas. I was like, I cannot believe how freaking effective this is. Multi-tabs running simultaneously. It was just like, genuinely, bro. I'm like, I can't describe it. It feels like we've genuinely hit an inflection point with this stuff. Like, and that's not hyperbole. Like, anyone who's been using it will be able to type the same thing. I just have to put it out there. I'm freaking really impressed.
Yeah, I can agree with you. And I've been AGI pilled as well. I was trying to have Gemini solve this problem for me for like 2 hours, and I was going back and forth with it, back and forth with it, back and forth with it. And like 3.1 Pro high, benchmarks, crushing it, right?
Those benchmarks.
You'd think that it's better. 2 hours. And then I said, okay, I ran out of tokens even. And then I was like, all right, let me just like pass this over to Claude Code. Maybe it'll make a tiny bit of progress. And I gave it to it. And within 30 seconds, it had one-shot my entire problem.
Ridiculous.
I mean, this is the level of gulf between these different platforms, right? They're like optimizing for benchmarks or whatever, but there's something that's just like extra that this model provider has that basically nobody else does. So I'm 100% team Anthropic at this point, man. These guys are, if they're not already at AGI, they're the ones that are making it first.
I was like, Nick, I might have to buy Anthropic shares somehow. It's like the thing with Gemini is sometimes it's like a creative genius, and other times, it's eating crayons in the corner, and you never know what version you're going to get at any given time. Gemini, it's like it's Google product ranges, Gray, Notebook LM integrations. It's fantastic. But I agree. Honestly speaking, dude, the best use cases for Gemini in any coding environment you're in, I think, is just design repolish. For cold, hard, brute force building, I'm not even touched in a lot of depth codecs. I don't know how far down the codecs rabbit hole you've gone. Anthropic just seems to be superior. I don't use any other model other than Opus. I actually had a challenge this morning, a non-technical challenge. The level of depth and problem solving I got to with Opus 4.6 was, I actually couldn't believe it. Like, it exceeded my expectations. And I know that I'm on the Anthropic hype train. Nick, I'll toot the horn. I'll take the driving seat, dude. I'll be at the front of that train. I'm happy to put my name on it. It is, I don't know what they've done, dude, but some intern needs a pay rise. And whoever that guy is, we need to get them more coffees and keep them chained to their desk right now.
Yeah, for sure. It's probably just Opus 4.6 at this point, man. Let's be real. There are no interns. It's turtles all the way down.
100%. It's basically the CEO, and that's it. Just loads of little Opus 4.6s. That's it.
And then the humans are there just for decoration.
Yeah, some dude was telling me there's some sense of, and I can't validate this, but there's some sense of programmers being very protective about not using Opus 4.6. Almost like it's like, oh, dude, we're not letting AI program it. The reality is, dude, we're far past that now.
Oh, for sure.
We're
for
so
sure.
far past that, dude.
These models are now like, they're just bootstrapping themselves. I mean, they're not bootstrapping themselves necessarily per se. Like, there's a human that is directing them on it, but I mean, they're just running loops. Keep in mind, fast mode, which is really damn fast, right? You've used fast mode. That's what we get as consumers. Could you imagine when they get to like dedicate their whole infra to this thing, they get to like set aside 10% of all their infrastructure, how fast their fast mode's working. So just imagine having this thing on like a thinking loop 24/7, like iterating on architectures and attempting to find better, slightly more optimized ways of like running inference and stuff. It's a runaway hype train here right now, man. And it makes sense why big government institutions like, the US Department of Defense and like their whole military war machine are now trying to recruit and get Anthropic to like, control their militaries, essentially. Anybody with that level of advantage in coding or anything else will just crush the world.
It's like we've given caveman the ability to, cook Nando's chicken, dude. We've done something incredible right now. It's like it is phenomenal, dude. It's probably already there. Like you think in Anthropic, dude, they've got some super unleaded Opus 4.7. It's just freaking pumping stuff out, and it's freaking washing your hair, and it's doing all. Where does it go from here? I guess there's two directions, right? One is token economics get better, so it's kind of cheaper to use because rate limiting right now is crushing people. I think they're struggling. Unless you're dropping $800 or $900, in which case, I would ask you, Nick, what's more important, the roof over your head or Claude 4.6 credits right now?
It's a toss-up,
I think we all know the answer to that question. He says from outside of the shiny apartment, and then obviously it's going to get better. I mean, like how it gets better. I mean, it's already so freaking powerful right now. Yeah, I mean, like all that to say, I'm getting around in circles. This is what it does to me, Nick. I talk about Opus 4.6. I stop making sense right now. That's how pro Opus I am right now.
He's a believer. He's a convert, dude. Starting a cult.
I'm a convert. Dude, call me Claude. That's my new name right now. You can call me Claude.
Well, on that note, though, I think a brief discussion about the differences between, let's say, Gemini, because I know you've probably had some exposure to that recently with the anti-gravity stuff and whatnot. I have as well. And then Opus 4.6 would be in order. Before the pod, Jack was like, hey, let's pretend, you be the Gemini side, and then I'd be the Claude side. I don't want to do that. I think it's a losing proposition. But I'd like us to talk at least more generally about them. So I found, you mentioned Gemini being a creative genius. Have you ever opened the Thinking tab for Gemini 3.1 Pro? If you open the Thinking tab, it means nothing. There's zero interpretability. It's like, I'm now assisting the user with their request. And I'm like, wonderful. With Claude, it's like, I'm thinking about, Nick's requests to catalog every plushie toy from large Care Bear down to whatever. Like it's like super like intricate, right?
Actually thinking.
Yeah, I know. What I think is happening is I think Gemini's hiding a lot of that thinking from us. I think they had some big, like, almost like quasi-political, philosophical issue that happened 4 or 5 years ago with this model called Lambda. This guy called Blake Lemoine. He looked at the thinking logs and was like, hey, I think this is conscious. And then they kicked him out of Google. So I think they're like doing some political shit there, to be honest. Anthropic, I think they're like, hey, this thing might be conscious. Who the hell knows? But anyway, Gemini is like either, as you mentioned, eating crayons in the corner. It's like a freaking creative genius. Sometimes I give a design to it and it like one-shots the most beautiful 3D animation thing I've ever seen. And then another 4 out of 5 times I give it to it, it like shits the bed and nothing works. And it takes 4 hours. Claude, though, is more consistent. It might not be as good at the design front, at least in my opinion, than Gemini when it's a creative genius. But it's like 4 out of 5 designs are going to be like really good. They're, one is not going to be like incredible, amazing, fantastic, but it's going to be like pretty good. You know what I mean? Yeah, so that's my take on how they work.
It's got a higher floor. Claude has a higher floor.
Exactly. Well done.
And I just ironically recorded something on Gemini, but I did it with caveats to basically say, look, mileage may vary because it is really, the thing is like, there are not nuanced takes in AI. It's either the best thing ever or it's complete garbage. And if you're someone who says, hey, there's more than one layer to this, you're a charlatan essentially. So I would agree with you, bro. I think I will say one of the annoying things about Google is there's just some simple things it just fumbles to bag on. Like, for example, have you seen a new Canvas feature that lets you spin things up and chat? It's kind of like a baby version of like AI Studio. So
I do.
Just for those of you who haven't checked it out, you can say things like, hey, write an email, and it's like their version of artifacts, or you can basically create these little mini apps that you can share. It's pretty cool. But if you've got a Google Workspace account, you can't do it. You just can't share it. But if you're on at gmail.com, all of a sudden it's completely fine. So if you're paying us money, we're going to actually give you less functionality than if you don't. And I was like, I just don't understand why this exists. So there's some the thing is, little details matter. Like people do notice the small details. So Google is, there's some things I want to sharpen up. One strategic point I do want to actually harp on here, which I think is quite interesting, is the idea that of all the models that exist right now, Anthropic, OpenAI, Google, Grok, Gemini is realistically the only one, and someone's making this point on YouTube, I forgot this guy's name right now, that doesn't need to make money. They can have it as a loss leader because Google's core revenue stream isn't from Gemini API credits,
Hmm.
right? They can genuinely focus on making it a super intelligence. Whereas if you look at Anthropic, you look at OpenAI, it's always how do we monetize? From Google's point of view is, dude, the monetization question, largely speaking, we have that locked down right now. So the steer and development of Gemini can be slightly different. It doesn't need to launch Gemini ads like OpenAI does. And it's going to be super interesting to see how OpenAI usage goes down. I actually, if I observe my own behavior, I would probably say that I find myself going to OpenAI less and less over time. I like the voice chat thing. I'd love if Claude app had a voice chat with some personality. I think my dream app, bro, would be Claude, a little sprinkle of Grokage. It's truth-seeking philosophy, some of it's racy characters, some of it's racy voices, and the X algo. I think that's somewhere near a perfect model.
Yeah, it's so interesting you mentioned that because I think the fact that Grok has the X model is now has access to X is now like a major competitive advantage. And I know that that was a design decision baked in pretty high up. Anytime I'm looking for like the latest hacks on XYZ, I just go to Grok and then I'm like, hey, compile the last 7 days of summaries about blank. You can't do that with any other model. Like you can't do that with Claude because it doesn't have API access. You have to find some really hacky workaround and that takes for freaking ever. Grok, it just works internally. So it points to the fact that like even models, we talk a lot, at least in Maker School, about like software is no longer the moat, right? And it's like if these models can design freaking whatever the heck you want now, you know, obviously at a certain point, hey, redesign me Netflix. It's like, okay, well, why is Netflix even a thing anymore? And the reason why is because Netflix just has a pre-existing distribution and access to, you know, hundreds of millions of people that are already subscribed. So in that way, you know, X is pre-existing distribution. That's the moat. You can't just one-shot it with AI. You can't say, make me 100 million new babies and then raise them at varying political climates and then have them sign up to my platform, right? Not yet, anyway.
Not yet. That's 4.6, 4.7, should I say. Yeah, you're so spot on. Like, what is the moat? The moat's got to be some kind. The thing about X is it's where breaking news happens, realistically. That and maybe Reddit to some extent, these reading platforms. So that it's defensible data. But very rarely does something break on X that doesn't appear somewhere else on the internet. But I said it's an interesting moat. But one thing that Anthropic's done that's quite interesting is created a constitution for like a guiding set of principles and values, which I think is an interesting thing. I think they should all do that. Like what the spirit and the direction of it is. But fundamentally, I don't care what it thinks or believes, providing it gives me a certain level of sass, it challenges me, and it actually delivers. Like, to be honest with you, it can think whatever it wants as long as I get what I need. Then that's what I care about.
Yeah, well, fair enough. I mean, like, I think that viewpoint will be defensible up until the point where it isn't, when, you know, we actually have like large swaths of people genuinely believing it's conscious, it has its own set of values and stuff like that. Like pretty soon, man, within like a year or two, somebody's going to run one of these things 24/7 on its own. That's what OpenClaw and all that stuff is like pushing towards, right? And like, you know, the masses, consider the average non-technical user. And like, have you scrolled through Reddit threads about AI? It's all like, this is ridiculous. Big tech and their cronies are stealing everything. Just imagine how they'd feel, how they anthropomorphize all the silly logical biases that they have applied to like a fully independent AI agent run on Opus 4.7 that like has its own workspace, has its own computer, and has its own identity and can talk via voice. Like, you're going to have some questions levied at you, my friend. And 100%. I think at that point, it's going to matter quite a bit.
It really does. And it's so funny, people who are like that graph that you shared with me. I don't know if we can maybe get Tyler to pull up and post it with screenshot or something about, essentially was dictating world population split into, I think it was 100 squares or something. And it had, in fact, let's pull it up. I don't know if we have it online or something.
Yeah, I'll go grab it for you. I have it.
I thought this was really fascinating because it really puts into perspective where you're at. So if you're watching this podcast, you're handsome, you're a wonderful person, you're a very smart person, and you're in the 0.001% of people for this stuff. Super easy for us to think that this is super saturated. I don't think people understand just how rare this knowledge is. Like I always have a story about my dentist said to me, "Hey Jack, you ever heard of this thing called ChatGPT?" I said, "Never heard of it. What is it?"
All right, so
she's degree educated, right?
Yeah, this is straight from the WhatsApp chat with Jack. This is what we talk about when people are
all our racy comments are just above this.
Racy comments. Holy shit. Okay, let me just not scroll any further down because I think it gets
we can't.
So this quote, first of all, a recent global snapshot of AI usage highlights just how early adoption still is. Around 84% of the world's population has never used AI at all, while roughly 16% have used free tools. Only a small fraction, about 0.3%, pay for AI services, and an even smaller share, around 0.04%, use it for more advanced
Insane.
tasks like coding. So, I mean, like, I want you to think about the whole, we are the 1% type stuff, right? Like, you are the 0.04%. Expressed visually, this is the entire population of Earth. Everything in gray is haven't ever used AI. Everything in green is I've used AI, but it's been like the free Google stuff provided in searches or like free ChatGPT. Everything in yellow is I pay around $20 a month for AI, so they're on like the lower plans. And then us privileged folks in red here, actually use coding scaffolds. We use things like Claude Code and so on and so forth. So I mean, like,
oh my gosh, 0.04%.
This is the problem here. And do you know how much money there's going to be made in getting the other like 99.9% of humanity using these tools? Like the implementation of AI and the education of AI, like you and I are doing, Jack. This is billions, trillions of dollars.
I agree. 100%. I agree. It's like teaching AI is a good place to be realistically because people need to know and understand this technology and leverage it. It's one of the things I realized in 2017. I've said this story a few times, but it's so freaking crazy. It's worth repeating. Me and a couple of buddies of mine were investing in a couple of things. We had 5 things. We had Dogecoin, which I insisted on. I literally insisted on Dogecoin. With Bitcoin, we had Tesla, we had Amazon, and a weapons company. The lowest performer of which on a 5-year time horizon doubled, and everyone knows how Dogecoin did. And it was interesting to me. We ended up selling it, and we weren't very, as we would describe as diamond hands. We were called paper hands in 2017. So we went on our learning journey, our growth journey, as we do. But what I realized with that is that if you actually look back historically at all of the winning trends, not only is it so obvious in hindsight, it's actually always really obvious in the moment. So when it's 2035 and we're looking back at 2026 and we're saying, man, it's crazy how this AI thing really blew up, right? And how valuable Claude was to learn as a skill. It's not like it's a mystery in 2026. The things that are going to do well are actually really obvious. The difference is those with the will to act on it, as Thanos would say. He said, like, I'm the one who believes it, or at least I'm the only one with the will who's going to act on it. So I think when you look back on these trends, bro, as Thanos would kind of, elucidate this kind of point of view, is that it really is obvious. It's not a mystery. So the signals are there. You just have to read them and execute on them.
Yeah. It's really that agency point, which I think we were talking about a lot a couple of months ago. It's like everybody and their mom essentially will have the ability to do this. It's just those that are willing to, I don't even know, like cross like that minimum energetic hurdle or like the minimum cringe hurdle in order to put themselves out there to the point where they can start like actually accumulating wins. Like you would not believe the number of extraordinarily talented people out there that don't do things like, cold call or posts on social media about a thing just because they're worried that like their friends or family might see or hear. They're just worried about embarrassment. So if you're capable of just like crossing that minimum little energetic hurdle of embarrassment, the world is really yours, man.
Don't you think as well that so much of it is accountability? And I realize that winners have high accountability. They have extreme accountability. For example, okay, let's say that you brought a weight loss program for $2,000, right? And you still got some freaking, rings down there 6 weeks later. Some people might be saying, you know what, that program was a scam and I blame the program. I think people with extreme accountability would probably say something like, I should have known better. I should have done more research. Or, you bought a sofa and it collapsed and the sofa's not great. Like we bought a sofa, dude. It's not winning best sofa of the year award at the sofa of the year award handouts. And, it's easy to blame things, but if you take that, we should have tested it beforehand, right? Because people with that mindset, they get better. They actually improve. If you have a victim mindset of it's someone else's fault that I'm in the position I don't like, you don't actually improve from that position. You can complain or you can grow. That's your optionality. And it's like, I think growing is obviously the better option, but it's just a little behavioral difference that I've noticed between people who tend to win and people who don't tend to win.
I used to live with Jono Catliff. He's a YouTuber that makes content that's pretty similar to us. So we used to be roommates back in the day. I say that caveat because I think some people are always like, no fucking way, that's wild, really? But also, he once told me something that was like extraordinarily politically incorrect. And I'm going to share it with you on the pod. I was making no money at the time. I was basically fucking broke, and he was too. We were both we were both like basically panhandling for money at the time. Big dreams and very little to show for it. And then I said something like, "The world's so damn unfair. Why can't we make any more money?" And then he said something revolutionary. He leaned in conspiratorially to me and said, "Everybody on planet Earth gets paid what they deserve, including us." And I said, "Holy shit, you're right. We're not getting paid more because we don't deserve to get paid more." And I think like the second I was like, "Well, fuck you, man." But also the second that I like internalized that,
Yeah.
I was like, "Holy shit." I mean, like, it's not like a moral judgment, which I think a lot of people immediately take it as. I did the first time I heard it. But if you think about it, it's just like, well, we deserve to get paid in correlation to the value that we provide. And if we're not getting paid enough by our yardstick, we're just probably not providing enough value, or we haven't been doing it for long enough. People genuinely heavily erroneously extrapolate how much work they need to do in order to get whatever result they need, myself included. And that to me was like, it was a major unlock. I didn't really get it until a few months or years later, but I was getting paid nothing because I deserved to be getting paid nothing.
Yeah. The harsh wake-up calls. You're not that valuable. It's like,
Yeah.
cool. Well, time to get freaking valuable then, right? I love that. I love that point of view. It really does. It's like, in a sense, you don't get what you deserve. You get what you take and what you actually go ahead and action. It's like you're just not valuable enough yet, and that's cool. That's completely fine, right? You can learn the skills to get it. But this is all accountability. I remember at university, so we had like my professor said to me, he said, "You know what? So in the UK, we have like first class is the best you can get, then a 2-1, then a 2-2. I don't know if it's the same in Canada or not, but yeah, we do. It's a little bit crazy in the UK." And he said, "Do you know, actually, a lot of the guys get two. So I think it's 97% of people get at least a 2-1 or higher. So if you want to get like a grad scheme, you've got to get a 2-1. And obviously some degrees are harder than others, like medicine, law. So some are more difficult than others. But the detail is, if you actually look at how hard people work, people that get a 2-2 actually work just as hard as people who get the best grades. The only difference is the stuff that they work on. So they still put the hours in, but they didn't actually apply it to the correct fulcrum point. So it wasn't even about how hard you were working. It was about what you were actually working on. And that's the big difference that they just didn't get. And I thought that was really fascinating. But I think a lot of the stuff we take for granted and forget, right? Because you learn it and move on. But Nick, I agree. I think these little mindset shifts make a huge difference.
Yeah, man. It's like, I don't know, at the gym, it's like you have as much muscle as you deserve to have. Or if you're running, it's like your 5K time is what you deserve based off your training. You could say the same thing on any other vein, and people would be like, well, yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense. You deserve what you've worked for. But the second you start talking about it financially, I find everybody's like, no, that's not true. And obviously it's not true because people can like give others wealth, and then there's nepotism in the world. There's all that stuff, which I understand. But yeah, in general, like I feel like you could take I probably like a bunch of other entrepreneurs that have, made a fair amount of money. You could take away all our wealth. You could drop us on some abandoned island somewhere. We'd disappear for a year and we'd come back. And quite frankly, we'd be in a very similar position, relatively speaking, after that year. And it's just a matter of internalizing like basically like the set of skills that makes you successful in our current economy. It's not a judgment as to like your character more generally, but it is like a certain set of skills that just happen to work really well in this economy. And the big one's accountability.
And I think that like the big takeaway here is this is a hugely inspirational thing, because if you push the right buttons and have the right behaviors, you can make it. You can. That was the whole ideology of the American dream, right? Is that you can come and anything is possible. And I like that aspiration thing. And it is,
And neither of us are American.
No, we're not. No, we're not. Not at all. I have an American tank top, which I wear, and I feel a little bit American when I wear it now. But I think it's cool. Have you seen the relationship between IQ and earnings?
No.
Isn't that interesting? So it's helpful to a point, but then is diminishing returns at a certain level.
And then it goes down, or it's just kind of like plateaus.
I'll see if I can find the graph, because it's really fascinating.
Yeah. Because there are some extraordinarily intelligent people that I know, and they're orders of magnitude smarter than the average folk, and then they just don't really make a lot of money. And I think the reason why is because they just get caught up in like theory land, and they're like, well, here's all the reasons why this would work or this wouldn't work, and I already know them all, so I'm not going to do it anyway. Moving on. It's like that really high IQ guy that works at a gas station or something.
Yeah, I think what high IQ people maybe don't understand is that IQ is just part of the. I think I've got this graph right. We'll get Tile to pull it up so people can have a look at it, but it's really fascinating. But it isn't even about, like, as long as you hit a threshold level of intelligence, additional IQ points doesn't move the needle. You need to be what is known as diligent. You need to be able to good learning velocity. There's what you know, and there's what you do. One of my favorite fighters right now is a fighter called Ilia Topuria, and he won the flyweight, lightweight belt, and also the featherweight. And his philosophy, he actually said this, he's like, there's what you know, and there's what you do. And I couldn't agree more with that. Like, it's like, what did Yoda say, dude? He said, to know and not do is the same as not knowing.
Is that what Yoda said?
Yeah. I believe it. I believe him, dude. He's a trustworthy guy. He's a
green goblin.
He's a very trustworthy guy. Okay, actually, on that point, this is a brilliant segue to the personal assistant revolution, bro.
Sure.
The whole Claude bot thing, Gravity Claw. I've seen a lot of different incantations and names. What are your thoughts on that, Brett? Because it's a new revolution that's happening right now. The personal assistants that can do crazy things for you. It's gonna absolutely explode.
Man, every time I've used one of these goddamn things, which has been quite a few, despite my protestations at how shitty the state of the art was a few weeks ago, every damn time I've used one of these things, I just continuously return to the idea that it's just too early. When everybody and their mom was talking all about how amazing N8N AI agents were, and they're like, N8N runs my whole life with this fleet of agents, and they please my wife and do this and do that. I was like, I don't think they're that good. And then I went and I tried them, and then they weren't. And then I was like, I think it's just too early. They're just not good enough. This is the exact same thing. Like, listen, it's like Gemini 3.1 Pro. It's like, can it work? And it's like, yeah. And when it works reliably. But the floor is too low for my liking. Example, I had a very simple task I had to do. I had a bunch of emails coming in, and then I said, hey, what emails have I gotten in the last 24 hours? It's like, hey, you got email this, you got email this, you got email this. Would you like me to draft up replies? I'm like, that sounds like a great idea. Go ahead, draft up replies. I'm starting to feel the AGI at this point. It drafts up the replies. I'm looking at it, I'm like, these look great. Yeah, I'd love for you to send these. It goes, and it sends them. And then it's like, hey, I just sent them. Heads up, I sent all of the 5 emails to the same person because I screwed up the 2 CC and BCC fields.
Oh, no.
Not that big of a deal. I'm just going to let him know that I screwed up, okay? And then we can get back to it. This was personal fucking information.
Dude.
From 4 people that were like requesting really, like one of them was requesting something really, really private. And all of them had been sent to some random that, do you know what I mean? And then I was just like, screw you, turn off. And then it was just like, well, it's no big deal. We can solve this ourselves. Let me just send another email to all the other. Anyway, man, I was like, this is unbelievable. So, dude, one more thing. I had that happen. And it's like, I'm going to add a special thing in my database. We'll never make this mistake again, Nick. Never, ever. I promise. Please, sir, don't turn me off. Guess what fucking happened a couple days later when I tried the same thing? Same shit. It just fucking emailed a bunch of private information from one person to another person. I'm like, I'm never using this shit again.
That is actually freaking crazy. Brutal, when that trust is gone, say again.
It's brutal. Yeah, exactly. I was going to talk about the trust, but go for it.
No, dude, I agree. It's like, this is the sensitivity around emails. Because when it has that Rolodex of contacts, it just hallucinates once.
Yeah.
And you test. Yeah. But what's a few private emails between a few people? It's what it is. It happens from time to time.
It's like private family situations. It's just like, hey, no problem. It included the whole reply chain, everything, to the wrong guy.
Yeah, some guy gets like a herpes diagnosis, goes to like a client, and then like deals over here, and it's just like, oh my goodness, dude. My AI went rogue. Yeah, but I assure you, your AI will not go rogue like this one did. That is freaking crazy. It's like, that's why I've given mine read abilities, but it's not write abilities, I think. But I have noticed it. Like, I'll make the argument for the other side on this one that I found it's very cool. One thing I notice people don't do is really design the personality and the architecture of how it should actually respond. as well. But for me, dude, I found it really freaking cool, especially with team management. So I basically said to my team, said, look, from henceforth, everything we do is in ClickUp. We're all going to put everything in ClickUp. I said, because one thing I like least is team catch-ups. Not in a sense, I love my team. Of course I do. I love it too. But it's just like, for me, I don't want like 15, 30-minute conversation. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, sometimes you don't need a call. Sometimes you just need to know, like, hey, what's up with where we're at the project? And so managing everything in a central like dashboard or something is awesome for me, because then I can just get my daily brief, have a chat about, hey, Jack, by the way, this project's not on track, or hey, there's a blocker. I'm like, cool, go and sort this out. Or if I have an idea, I can be like, oh, dude, go and ask so-and-so to add this to the to-do list. I find having the central nervous system super cool. And for me, it's been really helpful. But I will say, one of the weird things is that I don't have a blend. For me, it crosses between the personal and the business. There is no, I think as an entrepreneur, there is no line. We're always told about work-life integration, almost as if there are these two opposing forces in conflict with one another. I actually think that the level 10 way to think about this is that you love what you do, and that it's all the same thing. So I talk about, for example, the cut that I'm on, the cupcakes I've got to try and freaking slip out and avoid 24/7. Like it's all blended into this one ecosystem, and almost as a personal life thing. The biggest benefit is the context and the awareness. So I built this really cool 3-tier memory system, which is really freaking cool. Then I was talking to my buddies, and I did you know that Rag's out now? I said, what do you mean Rag's out? Because it's actually agentic markdown files is in now. I'm like, well, when did this happen? No one told me this yesterday. So we're looking to that right now, Nick, but it's a funny one.
Yeah, I feel you on like the personal integration. Well, in a nutshell, that's what these assistants should be. They should be like assistants, right? And assistants manage a lot of stuff for you. Hey, go buy XYZ flowers because their son passed away or whatever. Like that's what assistants do. And we're trying to slot this into that role. So I feel you. It just seems to me that like the simplest and like most reliable thing that like I think anything could do to like actually improve your life would be to like auto draft emails for you, and then it screws up on that, And I'm like, all right, well, if it's screwing up on like basically the whole value prop, because that's what everybody's like, oh, look at this thing responds to my emails. I'm like, if it fucks up on that, like I don't really. What's it going to do? Like, sorry, Nick, we just nuked China, but it's okay though. We just sent them a handwritten card to do blah 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 blah.
Dude, we're totally going to rebuild it. It's going to be wonderful. We'll build the wall and everything. It'll be back in no time.
Take all their oil. Yeah.
50
slowly turns into Trump. My little assistant gets hair.
The thing is, it's no one knows China better than I do. Okay, so it's like I would love that. I'd love Trump bot. If even had his accent and stuff. Like, really, you're a very smart person. Really, so it's like kind of breaking it all down and stuff like that. Like, you're really wonderful. I would love that freaking funny thing. I think that's one thing that's missing out of AI dev is fun. Do you know what I mean? Like a model that's like fun and doesn't take itself too seriously. Like they're all really stiff. Do you know what I mean?
I want my model to take me seriously. This is my life, Jack. I don't want to. No, you can't do that. I've just signed an executive order.
He's like, no, that's
removing
a really
access from your mailbox.
I don't know. I want to be the little dad. Like, I thought about sending it. I actually thought that was a stupid idea, and I decided not to do it. I'd be like, yeah, fair enough, lad. No, like, I want that level of kind of like sass on it, dude. Or like, just like follows you a little bit. Dude, could you order my girlfriend some flowers and like buys her some like Lego set or something? And it's just like, dude, I thought that'd be really funny. I don't know, just running a little bit of spice. I can kind of like has a bit of a personality. Because if you think about your friendships, what you value your friends for their quirks. Do you know what I mean? It's the imperfections. It's like the funny things. Like, oh, Nick really freaking loves this crazy thing that Nick's loved, whatever it might be for everybody, right? Like that's kind of what makes Nick. Like if Nick was just like perfect, which is awesome. Like, but you know what I mean? It's little details.
I do. It's like that's what makes Nick. That what makes Claude is revealing my sensitive private information to other people, and that's just his little quirk.
It's a good with the bad, Nick. You want to be perfect. Like who's perfect here? Do you know what I mean? Like I say, a couple of emails here or there, Nick. It's not a big deal.
Anywho, yeah, so I don't know if we really have pro or con. Is that, I guess I'm the con side, you're the pro side. Listen, the con side is not me saying it'll never get better. It's going to get better. It's going to eventually get to the point where it does everything that people are promising, just like all technology. Man on the moon, for Christ's sake. We looked up at that thing. We're going to put feet down on there. You talk to anybody for the first decade leading up to that, they were like, you're a crazy crackpot. There's no way that's politics.
Yeah.
Then we did, right? Like,
then we did it.
So I feel you. I'm not anti-progress.
No, I know what you mean, though. It is, I think... The big watch out for me with tech is I always look at the use cases that people give, and it's like, hey, you could build a 3D star simulator. I'm like, a 3D star simulator. So maybe that's just because maybe we're more rooted in, okay, cool. Like how does this change something? Like, so there's a lot of like fun. I guess that's like a fun element, to be fair. But I always look at the use cases, like what's the actual bread and butter it's going to do. I think that the TLDR of all of this is that Claude is known as what's pretty cool right now, and it's getting good. I hope that Codex comes and destroys them, and Gemini comes back. I don't know what's going on at Gemini, dude, but someone needs to crack the whip on some of these models. They need to crack the whip, dude. They need to get those interns as many flat whites as possible, Nick, and just freaking lock them in the room until it comes back, making a lot more sense right now.
Agreed. Hey, you want to chat about that last thing?
Dude, let's do it. What was our last thing? What was our
Hold
last
on one
thing?
sec. Just wait one sec. Jack, what is this?
What's this?
What's going on?
Oh, dude.
Are we being attacked by this fella?
Escape tutorial hell. Oh my god.
Who is this guy? Why are all the homies on here?
Dude, we're
literally all the homies are on here.
You're cutting our heads off right there, Nick.
And then there's this guy.
Tutorial hell. I literally saw it and I was like, I've made it onto a hit piece.
Yeah, I know. Well, I actually feel kind of like blessed that we're making it on a hit pieces. That means that like there's something to hit, you know?
Did they come in? They come in, did they? Well, I think this dude was a member of Liam's course actually at some point.
Well, that's just like double dirty. Look, he doesn't look very pleased.
Dude, he's coming from, dude. He's angry, dude. 100%.
Nate looks really pleased though.
Yeah, I look like I'm unhappy. I'm like I'm unhappy on this one.
Dude, I'm pissed. And like, why would they pick these pictures of us?
Dude,
there have to be better ones.
Those pictures have changed for sure. They're not the originals.
No, my nose does not look like that.
Like, dude, my jaw's squarer than that. Oh my gosh, dude, what's he done to my jaw? He's taken away about 5 pounds of my muscle from my traps as well, dude. This
he's looking good though. Can we just acknowledge that he's looking good?
It says Steve Jobs.
It's got like the same sort of vibe, right? Hey, by the way, did you know Steve Jobs was actually Syrian? Steve Jobs was an orphan. Well, not an orphan, sorry. He was a orphan. Goddamn. What's the term when somebody's adopted? He was adopted as a kid.
Wow.
Yeah, I found this out.
I wonder if that played into his brilliance in a way. This kind of quirky childhood that created a bit of a unique character.
Yeah, I think so. Probably why he was like motorcycling and doing all sorts of wild shit, Zen Buddhism and whatnot. You know, like finding yourself is a road hard one, and that guy had some more finding himself to do. Eventually ended up with the iPhone. But yeah, so what do you think about people using your likeness in order to get YouTube views, Jack?
I personally take it as a huge compliment. I think it's like it's a very complimentary thing that someone thinks that you might be notable enough to include in the thumbnail. So I think first thought is a huge compliment. Second thought is, I think for me, this indicates that he's wandering in the wilderness and is searching for counterculture content to attack the norm, which is everybody else is doing tutorials. You need to stop doing that. The premise of the video is pretty much, you know, you're wasting time and you're not focused on getting clients. Here's how to get clients, which I think is a fair message. And I personally, I think it's funny. I just take it as a compliment, and I wish him all the best with his journey.
Okay, so tactically speaking, you couldn't do something like that because you're big, right? But if you're small, you can. If you're small, you can actually leverage other creators' faces and likenesses and stuff like that. What you do is you put it on your thumb, you don't mention it in the video, and then you have full plausible deniability. It's just a little bit of packaging, they say. Who's going to go after? Oh, YouTube thumbnail testing, just one of the 3, you know, just happened to work pretty well. I don't even mention it. Or what you do is you actually put that in the thumbnail. Because this isn't the first time this happened. This is the first time we pointed it out. So, Jack, I just found it really funny. He just sent me in. He was like, like, you know, another really smart thing to do. You put that in the thumbnail. You're a small guy. And then you say, you know, I love these guys. These guys are fantastic. They're the best. But I think a lot of people right now, they just get stuck in like a little bit of tutorial hell. So in this video, I wanted to solve X, Y, Z. And now what you do is you get the fucking positive of like, you know, roasting us and using that to get views, which is smart. And then in the intro, You also get like no, I love these guys. These guys are great. They're my best friends. And then you get to double dip. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
So like, if I was small, I don't know. I probably wouldn't do that because I just wouldn't have the time to fucking like worry about shit like that. And to be honest, when I was growing, I was not watching YouTube videos, which I find hilarious. Like I was not on YouTube at all, like at my intro. I just recorded the video, uploaded it to Studio, thumbs up, and then went on with my day. But if you're small and like you're plugged into the algo, that could be a way you could grow.
I like that. It's a very, very like counterculture take. And dude, there's another guy. Was it Jason? It's a funny story. Nick may not freely admit this, but Nick made it in a thumbnail like that, and Nick basically triangulated this guy's location, and he like found out like like exact office address. He's like, dude, he's in this building. I was like, how'd you know that? And he's like, dude, this hour. And Nick freaking did some CSI crap in the background, like hacking into the mainframe, and he's like, dude, he's literally right here, right now.
Well, yeah, I think it was like curious.
Some Canada mainframe or something. But it's like
I was just curious.
Nick turned up at that address within 24 hours. You got to be careful. You can't put Nick in too many thumbnails.
It's like I wonder where he's shooting from. That's all. We could do some shooting together.
Where is this guy shooting from right now? Yeah, dude. Do you know what's funny as well on the podcast side of things? I think it's really cool on these podcasts. You can talk about lots of different kinds of topics, and I've noticed that our audience is like, if you look at the comment, and we'll go into comments maybe in a second, but it's interesting that you can pull on a lot of different threads because we're talking about pretty much whatever we want to talk about, right? So I've noticed that the comments, like the kinds of engagement that you get on podcasts is really good. So, you go on Joe Rogan's podcast, for example, it's interesting. One of the things that we're talking about as well is that a lot of the big podcasters optimize for polarity. They're not looking for positivity. They're looking for engagement. And I can tell you for a fact, they can actually track at what point in the video, via some API, what drove the most amount of comments and engagement, and they double down and optimize on that. So they're not trying to make you happy. They're trying to trigger. They're trying to get you to engage. Engagement is the North Star. They would rather have polarity. Some people are very red hot. Some people are very not very red hot. That's preferable than 100% lukewarm.
It's that's funny. So is that what we're doing? We're just going to optimize for.
We're just going to have to start getting.
We're just going to piss you guys off.
Some racy takes.
No, that's true. That's true. Okay, I'm going to scroll all the way down then, and then we can do some Q&A.
Dude, that sounds beautiful. Let's do that.
Right. Dude, I'm not going to lie. Our channel's grown a lot recently. And I just want to thank everybody that's like subscribed in the last little bit, because like we've gone from like, I don't know, 2 daily subscribers back here. We had a negative one day. I don't know who the hell you guys were.
We hope you can come back.
And now look at this. We're up to some consistent 50s, like 1744. When did that happen?
Dude, I thought it was 17. I thought we'd been at 17 for about 2 months.
Let's just pretend we're at 17.
We're always at 7.
Why don't we start with Ethan, and then we'll just go back and forth about like the comment answering. Ethan says, this pod is a gem, has provided a lot of value for me. Thank you, Ethan. Kane says, you guys have any videos on how to get started? I don't know, Jack. Do you have any videos on how to get started with this stuff?
I don't know. Maybe. That might be worth checking out.
I'm not sure. Just check out either of our channels. There's lots. Great name. Love the way both of you bring your questions for each other and go back and forth. You can also maybe react to industry news live together so we can see your first reaction. Just an idea. Whoa. That's a great idea, Jack.
I like that.
We like scroll through Twitter, and then we could find like one Twitter thread, and then at the very beginning we could be like, whoa, look at this, and we could do a little screen share. I like that.
Yeah, I think that's cool, because if we have 2 sections and then one that's like we're just pulling on threads, like we did with the influencer thing, like that, we just go down rabbit holes. I think that's a really cool idea. I love that.
Yeah, I think people would enjoy that as well. Aaron says, AI is moving so fast that every day I need to watch something to keep up. Well, it might as well be the Stacked podcast, my brother. Also, nice traps. Yes, I search for sunny holiday destinations in winter. No idea what Kareen's talking about. But you do you. Nick, please bring back daily updates. Those are so good. Thank you. I may be doing this. This guy's roasting our thumbnail. Your thumbnail and title lack context. So we're starting over 2026. I learned this first. Who are you and what are you starting over with? Just came to my mind, so I thought I could share. Hope it helps you. God bless. That's so great. What a nice group of folks that we have.
Yeah, appreciate the feedback. Great? Thank you, man. That's a great point.
Okay, how about ballsack? I mean, Balaz SCC. He says, how would a database be smarter than you? Is Wikipedia smarter than you? Why would you compare a database to a human? There are a lot of things Claude Wikipedia knows that you don't, more than the other way around. Does that mean Claude Wikipedia is smarter than you? You give me 300K as a friendly gift if you wanted to. Claude can't do that, not yet. If Claude gets to be smarter than humans, will it start to develop itself, and will Dario and the team get fired? Will the shareholders just trust Claude indefinitely? A lot of questions here. Why don't you start?
The TLDR of it, Balzac, would be that AI is already more intelligent than you. It just depends what the question is. So calculators smarter than you. It's better than you at chess. It just really depends on the question. I'd say it's a bad question to ask. The premise isn't helpful. But yeah, AI is already super smart, and obviously it can't replace humans. But it's only getting smarter and more practical. So I think weaponize that, bro, rather than anything else.
Yeah, good moral of the story. My point on why would you compare a database to a human is because the database is now getting really economically valuable in most of the same fields that humans are. So in that case, I think we're just comparing it from like an economic perspective. Like, is Wikipedia smarter than me? Like, I don't know. Is smart even like the relevant thing to do? I don't know. Maybe I mentioned the word smarter, and that was sort of me just talking at my ass, because there are different types of intelligences and whatnot. And, AI is quite narrow and spiky at the moment. But like, the database can make more money than me. And right now, that's something that I care quite a bit about. All right. This guy, Mikhai, says, I'm from Moldova, but living in Italy. Doing well. Hope you are too, brother. Thank you. Okay. So he's I think he was answering one of his questions. He's thought about increasing his pricing. Nice job, man. Missed the first stream. Mark Jamansky says the ad video content. I just saw Julia McCoy. Was this the influencer that you were talking about last week?
Yeah.
Full AI clone news channel for a real woman. This is apparently something real people are doing. Would you guys do it? I would do it out of fun. I would, because it's actually an interesting rabbit hole. So after our last week's chat, Jack, I went through and then I actually I made a bunch of AI influencers, and I saw where the tech was and stuff. And it was reasonable. I spent a fuck ton in credits though. I think I spent like $150 in total to make like some brief little clips. And then I thought, I don't know, like I could probably do this, but obviously I can't do that with my own likeness because people wouldn't know that it's me. So as long as you start from the premise that this is like an AI news channel, you make it clear that it's an AI news channel, and then it's not tied to a specific human being, I think it could actually work. But I would never tie that to like my own likeness, because that would just be, it's going to be the uncanny valley. People know me, right?
Absolutely. I think that's absolutely the play.
Yeah. All right. How many more you want to do? Like 3 or 4?
Let's do a couple more, because I would love to get up to date if we can. That'd be so
God
cool.
damn, dude.
Maybe we just speed run a couple.
Maybe we should sort by questions. Is there like a way to do questions?
Maybe
question mark contains questions. There we go. All right.
Oh, this is.
I need to know if Jack is from the Crater Cardiff area or more likely Pembrokeshire. I'm not, but he reminds me of someone I know who's lived in both.
I can neither confirm nor deny that question.
Jack's from everywhere and nowhere, everywhere, everything, all at once.
A man has no name.
What do you think of Naval's tweet? There's no point in learning custom tools, workflows, or languages anymore unless you need to build something right now on the bleeding edge. Well, I think I do want to build stuff right now on the bleeding edge. So in that case, tools, workflows, and languages anymore kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah, he's taken it from a 5-year point of view. Like, so don't go into a 5-year Python course, I think is his point. I think he's spot on with that.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point, actually. I would agree with that. The Furman UK, which podcast is it with Jensen Huang? I don't think have we done a podcast with Jensen Huang?
Oh, Jensen, if you watch it, do you know, Nick, we should start making audacious claims. Like Jensen Huang, if you want to come on this podcast, we will bring you on. We might even get you in Halo, depending on how the podcast goes. So we'll see.
Jensen and I, we're going back and forth. He's undecided right now.
The Huanginator. He's not on board yet.
Is this a swearing podcast now? Fuck yeah. Will they release an actual GPT 5.3? Probably. Aaron says, I was about to watch Jack's video about Gravity Claw, but now do I not do that? AI is moving too fast right now. Jack, should or should they not watch your video on Gravity Claw?
I would say yes, I would do 100%.
All right. Sounds good, man. I think that's pretty solid on the comments.
Cool.
We made some good progress here, bud.
We made some wonderful progress. So I think we'll do this. So gang, all 17 of you watching this, next week, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to have 2 very racy topics. Nick will have like a kind of, I don't know, click buttons and see conversation, and some Q&A as always. Is there any final thoughts, Nick, we want to leave the people with? We've talked about AGI, rogue agents. We've talked about many controversial things.
One thing, tell me about your hat.
The hat, Glido.
Yes. What's the G on the hat? What company is it? How can I sign up and pay money for the hat company?
Yeah, cool. Well, it's Glido. So it's our speech to text app. Basically, you push a button and words magically appear. What's really unique about it is speed and privacy, but the agentic mode. So you can highlight prompts and then Glido can improve it. So if you like coding, you could just press a button and say, hey, Glido, make this prompt better. And so you can reformat things, which is cool. You can ask it questions as well. So list up all prime numbers and stuff. So we're going to build in the ability to trigger webhooks and stuff. All that to say, it's very cool. It's in beta right now. And we've got around about 2,000 downloads, 2,000 free users, which is cool, and some paid users, which is great. And we're just locking in. So we're doing a lot on the audio pipeline to make it crisp. And I think in a couple of weeks, it's going to release out of beta. So Nick, I would love to get your brutally honest feedback on it, man, and get it in your hands. Once we get through the end of beta, we have a lot of requests for Windows, so it's Mac only right now. But dude, we've got a lot of things we're working on, and it's super cool.
Well, I'm glad that came up organically. Yeah, I'd love to roast Glido end to end.
Yeah, a complete organic integration. I love that. Yeah.
Anyway, thanks, Jack. Always a good time.
Yeah, 100%. All right, Brisket. Right, I'll catch you in the next one, man.
Sounds good.
Peace, guys.